So, I've been thinking, what if My Hero Academia had a different ending? When I was reading the actual ending, it felt like something was missing. As I searched for answers and read countless articles, I found a small detail that you might have missed. Something Kohei, the author, wrote years ago that could change everything. It got me thinking, maybe the ending was intentional. Maybe it was meant to be so open-ended because the ending might not be the actual ending. Like I saw a lot of people on the subreddit sharing the alternate endings they've come up with. Some of them even latched onto this popular theory. Remember in chapter 1 that Doctor who looks exactly like Dr. Garaki, one of AFO's servants? Supposedly this guy stole Deku's quirk. The idea is that Izuku somehow managed to get it back after losing One for All, and then had to start over, training from scratch. Others just wanted to see that Iron Man-like suit All Might gave Deku show up earlier in the story, or at least somewhere before the end. Maybe even see Deku use a suit in action at some point. Most fans didn't like that Deku had to lose One for All, especially after he worked his ass off to master it. That's why some believe that it would be better if Deku still had One for All, but it's pretty banged up from all the strain. He can't push it too hard or stack quirks without risking losing the power completely. Because of that, he steps back from being on the front lines and focuses on training the next generation of heroes. Even though he's not as active, he gets recognized for his role in the war and gets a special suit that lets him keep being a hero without overloading his quirk. What I find interesting is, aside from being a teacher, what if Deku started his own agency, training other new heroes like Eri, Kota, or even Dai, the kid from the last chapter? And honestly, it would be better if he started dating Uraraka like shit, man. Like, come on. By the last chapter, it's been 8 years already. You can't have a crushing on Deku for the whole series and just drop it at the end. They haven't even discussed it yet. Not even a friendly date. So, what do you think, right? If you could rewrite the ending for Deku and MHA, how would you do it? Tell me in the comments. We gotta discuss this, guys. This is a team effort. You see, in the actual ending, Deku loses his quirk and has to rely on a high-tech suit to keep fighting as a hero. But what if that had been the case from the start? What if Deku never had powers, not just in the beginning, but throughout the entire story? Honestly, that was Kohei's original plan for Izuku. No quirk at all. 0 powers. Yep, no One for All and no eating hair. Like Deku would have had to rely on DIY gadgets. He was supposed to be like Iron Man or Batman. But what if Kohei had stuck to that plan? Well, I think Midoriya would have been way smarter than he is in the canon story because without a quirk, it would be way more difficult to fight villains with ridiculous powers and who are 1,000 times stronger than you. Still, with his commitment and nerdiness to knowing everything already, I don't think it'd be impossible for Izuku to beat them. Especially since he has one of the biggest strengths, his analytical skills. He's always deep into studying heroes. He's got notebooks packed with information on different heroes and their quirks. He could even analyze them mentally. He even has invisible notes. Now imagine if he uses analyzing skills against villains. He'd be all about outsmarting his enemies instead of trying to overpower them. He'd know how to spot a villain's weak points and use them to his advantage, turning their powers against them, or setting traps that make their strengths backfire at them. Deku is also such a quick learner that he mastered One for All in a short amount of time, using it in ways that even the previous wielders found surprising. If Midoriya relied on gadget/support items, he could easily juggle multiple devices at once, even combining them when necessary. That's probably why All Might entrusted him with the suit used against All for One in chapter 396, because All Might knew Deku could make the most out of it, maybe even better than All Might did himself. So, Izuku is smart in his own way. But the only problem is, I don't think he's capable or skilled enough to create his own gadgets. I think he could, but I don't think he has the IQ of Tony Stark or Bruce Wayne. The good news is, there's one character who could really help Deku. Of course, Mei Hatsume, the inventor of the support course. Helping Deku would be a great opportunity and a serious challenge for her. Not only does she get to see her babies in action, but since Izuku's quirkless, she'd have to push her gadgets to the next level. Mei will need to keep improving her creations to make sure they work perfectly for him and avoid any screw-ups, especially because Deku's life is on the line, bruh. Going up against villains who could obliterate him with just a flick of their fingers. So it's possible that these two would team up and it would benefit them both. Still, there's something even tougher than the villains Deku would face. Reality itself. Especially since he's living in a society that heavily relies on quirks. So most people wouldn't accept him. After all, how could a powerless guy become a hero? But honestly, wouldn't that be the perfect challenge for the main character? Wouldn't it be inspiring to see the guy who was rejected by society prove everyone wrong? Like Floyd Mayweather? No, I think everybody still hates him for some reason. Okay, well, I was just kidding, but bad example. Anyways, can you imagine how great would it be if he, a nobody, an outcast, clapped back with an achievement that shut the heck out of everyone because they thought it was impossible? Isn't this the kind of great problem that makes a true hero? Because a hero is someone who doesn't give up. And wouldn't it be insane to see a quirkless teenager take down villains with godly powers? It's like going up against unbeatable odds, like David versus Goliath, a Beowulf versus Grendel, Guts versus Zod, or Toji against Gojo. You know, the classic mortal versus monster or god scenario. It would be a hell of a fight, but not impossible. Don't you think? Isn't it motivating to see someone without a god-given superpower who just doesn't give up even when the world's against them? The never give up theme isn't just some overused idea that pops up in manga like Black Clover or newer ones like Wistoria, Wand, and Sword. You see it in real life too, with Olympic athletes living by it, like Eddie the Eagle. To get what I mean, think of Eddie like he had a passive skill called stubbornness. He maxed that stat out to the point where if somebody told him he couldn't do something, he'd go all out to prove them wrong. And he pulled it off when he joined the Olympics in ski jumping. They even made a movie about him with Taron Egerton and Hugh Jackman, which by the way is a good movie, you should watch it. Anyway, if only this version of the story had happened, Izuku would have truly lived up to his hero name, Deku, which started as the insult meaning useless. But thanks to Uraraka, who inspired him to see it as, I can do it, and through sheer hard work, which amounted to great skill, Deku would have proved that he could overcome anything. Izuku literally went beyond plus ultra. Think about how amazing it would be if he made everyone realize they were wrong, proving that anyone can be a hero, can be a Deku. Everyone can do it. I can do it. You can do it. Nothing is impossible. But still, if that happened, Deku is quirkless, battle smart, fancy gadgets. He's not invincible, so there's still that chance that he will lose something. I don't know, his life. You know, what else could it be? The cost would be high. Deku might lose a limb in the final battle, an arm or a leg, and since he was using gadgets, there's always a chance they could break or malfunction. Despite Mei's best efforts, she couldn't prevent this. After all, she's human. Yeah, that's a darker possibility, but on the bright side, if Deku were successful as a quirkless hero, I think in the end he wouldn't be a symbol of peace like All Might. Instead, he'd be a symbol of hope, a proof that anyone could become a hero. So the real question is, if Kohei originally planned for Deku to become more like a Batman or Iron Man type of hero, why did he stop? It's possible that one of the reasons was feedback from the editors suggesting he give the MC a quirk to keep him from being overshadowed by other characters. Besides that, I think there are other issues that would have come up in the story. Like if Deku was going to be a hero purely based on gadgets, how would he even afford them at all? He's not Wayne or Stark with endless cash. He's a broke teenager who can't even afford a good shirt. And how would he even get into the UA in the first place if he had zero quirk? How would he meet Mei if he couldn't even pass a UA entrance exam? And can Izuku really defeat Shigaraki in All for One with just high-tech gadgets alone? What about other characters, especially Bakugo? Would his character development have been different if Deku had remained quirkless? Would he have become better or way worse? And since Midoriya didn't become All Might's successor, would Toshinori choose Mirio instead? There are a lot of factors to consider, or iconic scenes that would have never happened if Kohei had followed the original plan. You know, like All Might choosing Izuku to become the next successor, the moment All Might pointed at him at Kamino, how Izuku saved Kota, or Deku's battle against Overhaul. So many crucial moments would have been lost. But if these problems were actually a thing, and Kohei was going nuts trying to figure out how to solve them, then there's one card he didn't play: plot armor. Okay, I know, it's not like that. Now, I'm not saying that a quirkless Deku or armored Deku version of the story would be way better than what Kohei came up with. Gadget Deku or Armored Deku would definitely be interesting and could have led to an insane ending, but I'm sure that this version would have its own flaws, some of which I probably can't even pinpoint. And it's not that I dislike the official ending, but it felt like something was missing. That's why I can't stop imagining different versions of how it could have ended. And I just wanted to share those thoughts with you. Like, honestly, My Hero has been a big part of my life, and certain aspects of it really hit something inside me. Like, I would cry to this show, man. In fact, like, I started one of my ex-girlfriends, I got her into anime because of this show. And I've personally watched this like 4 times. It's like seeing it end felt like losing a good friend who didn't get to say a proper goodbye. You know what I mean? And I know I'm not alone in this. Many fans feel the same way here and were really upset by how things wrapped up. But, you know, since the ending of MHA feels so open-ended, I've been thinking, what if the ending actually isn't the ending? Like, it's so open-ended, it feels like there's more to the story just waiting to be told. Especially when you go back and read chapter 430, you'll see Izuku writing and he says something like this: why am I still writing this? Because there are more pages to come. I was like, wait, what? Pages to come? Well, he didn't mention how many pages or if these were the last pages of the story, so like, is there more to the story or like we got a sequel? Like, what's going on? Are we going to make a Seven Deadly Sins failure sequel or is this going to be a really good one, finally? Will there be a chance to see an adult version of Izuku in action along with his friends as professional heroes? Like, what if Koei built all this up just to bring it back to his original plan of Deku being powerless? Because Koei originally planned for Deku to be much older, a salaryman working for a company selling hero support items, and also wanted to become a hero himself, which was actually from a one-shot he made way before MHA titled My Hero. And Koei only cancelled it because a salaryman wasn't suited for a shonen manga. Because shonen usually targets a younger audience, focusing on action, adventure, and growth with younger characters. A story about a working adult just wouldn't vibe with the usual shonen energy, unless you're Saitama. But now in the series, Deku is much older, not as a salaryman, but as a teacher. And at the end, he's basically using a high-tech support item, which kinda aligns from the one-shot. And just like I mentioned earlier, the problem with the cost of such advanced technology still isn't addressed. And if Koei wanted to continue this story with a much older Deku, it would make much more sense. Because now everyone is an adult. Deku would have the money to maintain his high-tech suit or get financial support from his friends. Or even from Mei herself, since she's literally working at a company called Lightly Labs, which is probably a big shot company. Unlike if Koei had proceeded with Izuku as a student who is quirkless and only relying on support items, which would be difficult to pull off. Plus the shonen theme fans probably won't agree with that part. And you know what's even more interesting? Koei added a note in that one shot saying, however, this one shot is, to me, my foremost masterpiece. If I can brag this was my peak, if I ever get the chance, I want to draw it all out again. That's how emotionally attached I am to it. See, Koei said he even wanted to draw it all out again if he ever got the chance. And right now it seems like he's got that chance. Yet the problem is, that was way back in 2008. And Koei might have changed his mind or just wanted to take a break. So, don't get your hopes up too high because these are just pure speculations. Everything I've mentioned isn't 100% confirmed. And I'm in full support of Koei if he wants to end MHA for good or continue it. By the way, that's not the only detail you might have missed in My Hero Academia. Koei added many references from multiple sources like Marvel or DC Comics that you probably wouldn't even notice.